Right, right. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let me welcome you all to the Unduwap Full Moon Poya Day Dhamma program, which we are conducting today with the 7th of December. Earlier, we were planning to do it on the 30th, but it has to be postponed. So the topic today is significance of Unduwap Poya and the role of Sanghamita theory. And the Dhamma talk will be conducted by Venerable Vajrarame Jnanasihatero. I will just give a brief introduction of Venerable Vajrarame Jnanasihatero, who prior to his ordination had the name Olcott Gunasekar. He had his early education at Royal College, Colombo, and Sri Vajrarama Dahampasala. After graduating from University of Ceylon, Peradine, with first-class honors degree in history and carrying away the Ashok Prize in Indian history, he entered the Ceylon Civil Service in 1958, where he served several government ministries in many capacities. He obtained postgraduate MA degree in Buddhist studies from University of California and is an alumnus of the Stanford School of Management, USA. Internationally, he has been a consultant with the UN FAO Office Bangkok for nearly 10 years and on the international boards of the Framework Convention Alliance and IOGT International, in which capacity he associated closely with WHO to fight the tobacco and alcohol menace. Locally, he was a member of the National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol. Before ordination, he was president of many civil society organizations, which include the Sasana Sevaka Society, Dharma Vijaya Foundation, ADIC, etc. He served as Chief Coordinating Officer of the International Buddhist Conference held in Sri Lanka in 1998 and was a member of the Presidential Commission on Buddha Sasana in 2002. A member of the Presidential Steering Committee on the 2600 Sambudhatva Jayanti 2011 and was honored by the government of Sri Lanka with the title of Desabandhu and Dhamma Vijitavi Sasana Ranjana by the Amarapura Sri Dhamma Rakshita Nikaya on its 200th anniversary. So we are very pleased that Venerable Thero has accepted our invitation to conduct this Dhamma program. And before commencement, I will ask Venerable Thero to deliver Pansil and thereafter to commence the Dhamma program. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Pansil Sam. Namaskare.
Namo tassa arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Yampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Yampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Yampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Yampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Yampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Yampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sarana-gamanam sampunnam
Bante.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Tipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Adinnadana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Nadana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Kamesu michachara veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Sumichachara Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Musavada veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Vada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Suramere majjapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadam samadhiyami.
Mere Manjapama Dattana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhiyami.
Apamadena sampadeta.
Bante. Sad.
Shall I start the talk now?
Yes, Venerable.
So I'm in a way, I'm a bit sorry that I apologize to everyone that I was not able to log in to this program last time. And even this time, there's a problem, and a friend of mine has come and assisted me in this. So thank you very much for your patience. I wish to commend also Professor Wattavala for continuing this program. It's not an easy thing to get lecturers and also to conduct something for a long time. Sometimes it's easy to start something, but to continue something year and year is something not quite easy. So I have to commend him and his team for this Dhamma, gift of Dhamma, for enabling others to listen to this gift of Dhamma. But today's talk is something different from other talks, so really that I've given. Earlier, we have to, it's before starting anything, we invite the Devas, that is to listen to the teaching of the Buddha. But here I'm not taking, the subject here today is not on a sutta or a discourse of given by the Buddha, but on the significance of the Unduwap Poya and also the role of Devi Sanghamitta. So that's a subject that I have been asked to speak on. It's more historical and rather than real Dhamma, but it's extremely important for us to know the importance of a particular Poya day. So, and I would like to mention something about also about the Poya day itself. Now, in the ancient times, during the time of the Buddha, everything we were using the lunar calendar. As you know, the lunar calendar has 28 days or 29, and then there are 13 months. But since the colonial period, many countries are using now, or almost all the countries of the United Nations, they call the Gregorian. And that's something that we should know about. And in the initial stages, it was called, we used to, so during our school days, we say AD, Anno Domino, and BC, before Christ. Anno Domino means in the year of our Lord, and the Lord is Jesus Christ. So the point is that's how it happened. But now, afterwards, even historians and others has changed, taken the cue from the other eras, like the BE is called Buddhist era, and they used to call, rather than the year of our Lord, this UCE, which was shortened form earlier during the earliest periods was Christian era. But when the Christian era was adopted by many of the countries, almost all the countries, the CE was changed, the meaning, the acronym, CE was changed to Common Era. So that's the Common Era. And when we say BC, we call it BCE, before Common Era. But I'm saying this because even now, I see many articles, even in Buddhism, by scholars, of Sri Lankan scholars and others, when they write something on referring to an age, they call it Christian era, or actually they call it AD. Sometimes they use even AD. But the things have changed now, and the C is not now doesn't refer to a Christian era, but a common era, and we should be knowing this. And when we write something, we should say CE and BCE, and that's something that we should know. The difference, as I said, in the CE there are 12 months. That's a solar system, according to solar, and the January starts in January and ends in December. And the Buddhist era starts in the Vesak, the month of Vesak, or the Poya day, and then ends up in the, now say in Sri Lanka or world over, we take it at 2569 after the Parinibbana. Now, that's also important because the Buddhist era is taken from the date of the Parinibbana of the Buddha. So that's why 2569. And when in 2012, 2012, we celebrated the 2600th anniversary enlightenment of the Buddha. There we took the demise of the Buddha from 544 before Christ. Now that is something of BCE, before Common Era. There are scholars like Geiger who starts with 483. And then, but now we in Sri Lanka and other countries, the Buddhist countries, we take it from 544 before Common Era. And so that's why it's 2569. So this is a knowledge, general knowledge. And then when we come to Poya days, much of the Buddhist literature is around Poya day. So we need, and the Poya day is significant, and it's very, sometimes it's necessary for us to what you call the lunar months, and then reconcile the two, the lunar month and the solar month, and the significance of Unduwap. Sometimes we say these are the last Poya of a calendar year. The calendar is taken from January to December. So when you take the January, December, Unduwap is the December, the Poya day in December. And so one of the things that is significant is, oh yes, this is the last Poya day of a year. And we considered that as from the Gregorian or the Common Era standpoint. So although, as mentioned earlier, our era starts from the date of Vesak. So what happens is that when we have, now there are the lunar months and the solar months. It so happens in the lunar months there are 13 months, and in the solar there is 12 months. So there has to be a reconciliation of this. And that's why when we mention in our calendars now, there is Adi Poya. Adi is another extra. And this year, the Adi Poya is in 2026. The Adi Poya is in the month of May. There are 2 full moon days, and one is on the Vesak day, and the other is called the Adi Poson, because normally we take June to be the Poson. So these are things, the reconciliation of this. But even now, in the monastic life, in all what we do, it's on we take the lunar month, and many of the ecclesiastical acts, is according to the Poya and according to lunar month. And we say, yes, sir, there is the Poya, that is the full moon day, and then the full moon after that, there is the Amavaka, that there is no moon, and then like that we work on it, and then there is. So when we think of these Poya days, some Poya days are universally accepted or celebrated. And as you all know, the Vesak Poya Day is universally celebrated. It happened after a conference that we had in Sri Lanka in 1988. I think I was one of the people who was coordinating that. And the first resolution that was passed in 1988 was to 1998, I think, 1998 was to have the Vesak officially recognized by the United Nations. And that we did, and that was Lakshman Kadirgama, who did a very wonderful job by getting the UN to accept that without any kind of division. And it's from that day onwards, 1998 onwards, we have from maybe 2000 something, we celebrate that particular day. So that's important for us. So in the same way, there is another Poya Day that is important for all Theravada countries, and that's the Asala Poya Day. So that comes in the month of July. And in July, what happens is that it's compulsory for all Upasampada bhikkhus to observe the Vas. So all of us, it's a compulsory by the Buddha, as mentioned, made it compulsory. And because our age in bhikkhu's life is based on the number of Vas that we have completed. So although I'm now in my 90s, I'm still a very young bhikkhu because I've just completed my 10 Vas. So enabling me to call a Thera. And it's after 20 Vas you can call that bhikkhu a Mahathera. So these are traditions of our traditions. And so that particular month is important. And then along with that, we have the other Poya, where we call it the Katna Chivara, from Unduwap, where the last month of a rainy season. The last month of the rainy season is also important in all Theravada countries. That's the period, that's the particular month that the general public or the Buddhist public and the Buddhists and the Theravada countries and all the temples, they get together, have the Katina. It's called the robe month, the Katina Chivara, Katina robe month. So that's also important. But now we come to what I have been going to talk on is the Unduwap Poya. Now, like the Unduwap Poya, there are certain months or Poya days that are significant only to Sri Lankan Buddhists. And as you all know, there is the month of Poson, which is important because the Venerable Mahinda, Arahant Mahinda, came to Sri Lanka on a Poson day. And the thing, as I said, it's the literature is wound round these Poya days. So it could be that it's not on that, but the Poya day of Poson is taken to be the day that Venerable Arahant Mahinda came to Sri Lanka. And then the next day that is important for us, for Sri Lankan Buddhists, is Unduwap. Now Unduwap, and that's when Venerable Sanghamitta Arahant or Therini Sanghamitta came to Sri Lanka, bringing along with her the sapling or the Bodhi right branch, a branch of the Bodhi tree. And so this is something that is not very much celebrated among all Theravada countries, but I'm sure that all the Buddhists, Sri Lankan Buddhists who are outside who are in other countries, and in our temples or Sri Lankan temples outside, these months are celebrated and or commemorated. We can celebration is also part of commemorating those days. So this is something that when you think of it, Unduwap is important. Is for us in Sri Lanka due to two main reasons, and we'll be discussing something of that importance in the time in the now or is in a few minutes after. So the when you think of this, I consider that why Venerable Sanghamitra came to Sri Lanka was because the Queen Anula Devi, who was the wife of Devanapiti's, I think, brother. She was the first person to understand. I think that's very important for ladies that all the Venerable Mahinda, when he came to Sri Lanka, that was in July, and then Poson Poya in June, and then in the Unduwap Poya, that's in December. During that particular time, there was so much of activity in Sri Lanka, and the first person to enter the path as such by being a Sotapanna is not a male, not a bhikkhu, but a female, and that is Anula Devi. So, and she wanted to become a bhikkhuni. And according to the rules of the Vinaya, it's very important, right from the beginning that, Sri Lanka is known for as people who have been preserving the Vinaya. And there's a statement, Vinayo Nama Sasanasa Ayu. That's something that we have commonly known in Sri Lanka. Vinayo Nama, Vinaya or discipline is the most important thing. Sasanas of the dispensation, the existence of the dispensation is dependent on Vinaya. So that's very important because that's something that we have been preserving in Sri Lanka, our bhikkhus, and the Vinaya rules, because many come to Sri Lanka during the earlier days to get the scripts from this country. It's very, very interesting because the Vinaya rules, if you break the Vinaya rules, then the sasana is no more the dispensation. It'll, and that even from the first Buddhist council, but the Buddha loved the bhikkhus, the arahants, if necessary, to get rid of or to erase the minor Vinaya rules, Buddha Kana Buddha. So that this minor rules of the Vinaya. The Buddha said, if you wish to, that you can change those. So they start discussing at the first response, right? It was decided that the Vinaya rules that was proclaimed by the Buddha, it's not something decreed, but from time to time, when occasions arise, the Buddha made the discipline rule. You should not forbid you. Upasampada bhikkhus are forbid to do this and that thing. So from the Parajika Sangha, it's like that. There are a whole series of the Vinaya rules that has to be accepted. So this is something that Sri Lankan bhikkhus are famous among the Theravada countries. Known in the not famous, we can say are known in Theravada countries. To the extent that in Thailand, the most important thing for a Vinaya rules is the sima, or the boundaries within which the discipline rules, or even the uposatha, when we go and we preach the Patimokkha, all the ecclesiastical acts, we go to the sima. The purity of the sima, that's what they say, the purity of sima is something that the bhikkhus have been very concerned right from the beginning. And that we swore, I just like to mention that when in Thailand, during the period of Sukhothai, that's the 11th, 12th centuries, there was a bhikkhus who went to from from down south, down south, I can't remember the name, but from there, the king's Sukhothai, the king, heard about the bhikkhus, and they were brought to Sukhothai and wanted all the semas, the semas, to be again consecrated. And this is something that is very important because the sema is something very sacrosanct. It's necessary how all the rules and regulations for the sema is mentioned in that. And there in Thailand, we see that there is the first sema, and then the sema, we have the boundary stones, the sema gal, boundary stones. And there in Thailand, there, for the second time, those things are again consecrated, and they are called the Sihela bhikkhus, and the new, there was the earlier what you call the Sema Gala Sema stones, the boundary stones were there, and the new boundaries were there. So this is something I'm very interested, very important for us to remember when we study about what's happening in the after the later times. So this is something that I consider that when Venerable Arahant Mahinda wanted Venerable Therini Sangamitta to come, along with that was the request to send the branch of the Bodhi tree, and this is something that I consider is a master stroke with regard to establishment of Buddhism in this country, in Sri Lanka. Unlike in other countries, I have traveled in some like Thailand and other countries, they don't give the same sanctity to the Bodhi tree as in Sri Lanka. And so in Sri Lanka, the Bodhi tree is is a symbol of enlightenment. The Bodhi tree is symbol of enlightenment, and it's always, it's both sacred and also emotional for the Sri Lankan Buddhists. And many of the temples abroad, Sri Lankan temples, they like to have, or they some or other try to get a sapling, a bow sapling from Sri Lanka, and have it planted in the temple, in the precincts, if there's possibilities. So these are things that's happening that I have seen, some with my own eyes that I have seen. So I consider that the Venerable Arahant Mahinda, he not only requested his father, that's Dharmasopasoka, not only to send his sister, that's the Venerable Arahant Mahinda's sister, to Sri Lanka to ordain Princess Anula Devi, but also requested bringing of a branch of the Bodhi tree, and this is described in, when you think of the source for the study of this, is in the Mahavansa. We have 2 chapters on that, and it's a very, very interesting chapter. How the Bodhi tree, how it was the permission that was asked from Theras who were there. King Dharmasukha himself, he went from Patna or Patliputra, he went to Buddha Gaya. And that's, I think I calculated the distance of 120 to 130 kilometers. And after going there, the Theras were there, and he asked, according to this Mahavansa story, he had to get permission from the Theras, and with that permission, and also it is mentioned that as it is the desire or the wish of the voice or the future of the Buddha, or a statement by the Buddha, that finally the Buddhism will thrive or will in Sri Lanka, and because of that, the permission was granted, and this happened. So whatever it is, and I just got from the Mahavansa. I want to let you something about the sacred the bowl that in which the sacred devotee was brought. It's mentioned that there was a big, what you call it, out of gold. It was or something, whatever it is. There was this big bowl, and the description is that it is implant golden bowl measuring 9 cubits. Now 9 cubits, it's inches, is 162 inches. A cubit is taken to be 46.7 centimeters or 18 inches. So it's a fairly large. It's measuring 9 cubits around. That's 162 inches around. It's a big one, and 5 cubits, 90 inches in depth. 90 inches in depth, and 3 cubits, 54 inches around. So that's 3 cubits around. So it's something. Although we see this picture of Terini Sangamitta having in her hand the bow sapling. It's not something that she could hold because it's a bit huge. 90 cubits. 162 cubit, 9 cubits around, and 3 cubits, or depth of 90 inches. So to carry that, and and it's mentioned that it was taken in procession from Buddha Gaya to Patliputra. It was and then from there to the port at that time, and then from there to Sri Lanka, Jamapulapatna. So it's a voyage, and everything is mentioned here in detail, and it's a great event. And from even after, in the same way as Dharma Asoka went, I think, to the ship, was brought to the ship the boat that brought it to Sri Lanka, the ship or the boat, and asked Devanapitisa also to do the same, to receive it and to bring it to Anuradhapura in procession. So it so happened that we have these places. It's already, we know, in northern peninsula, the place where the boat arrived, and King Devanapitisa was there. It was received, and from there it was taken in procession, stopping at certain places and taken finally to the final destination of that's on Radhapura. So it's a great event, and from there, from that Bodhi tree, the spread of Buddhism, the establishing of the Dhamma, that was down when Arhan Mahinda was asked whether Buddhism is established in this country, his reply was no. There has to be a Sri Lankan or one of our own people who have to learn the Vinaya and was able to do the Vinaya acts according to Vinaya rules, then only to establish. So and then only the establishment comes. So in the same way, when Buddhism spread throughout Sri Lanka, the seeds, sometimes the seed or something that's coming off from the sacred Bodhi tree, that was taken to various places, to Kataragama, like all those, and these are places where the first saplings or the seeds of the Bodhi trees have been planted. So there's a whole cult. I don't like to use the cult, but whatever it is, something that inspired our people. And the planting of a Bodhi tree in a temple is important. Even before a stupa is planted, the stupa is constructed, they always like to have a Bodhi tree. And Bodhi tree is something which, for average person, is where the Buddha gained enlightenment, and it's a symbol of enlightenment. So this is something that's broad. So the significance of, when we think of the significance of Unduwap, the bringing of the Bodhi tree is extremely important. It's as I said earlier, it's both emotional and also it's something sacred, valuable. And there are many people who like to. The first thing that the Buddha did, even before he preached the Dhamma, was to show his gratitude to the Bodhi tree. And that's the first lesson of the Buddha to the entire world. Show gratitude. The gratitude is something, it's important. Even the smallest thing a person has done to another, we should have that gratitude for that particular person. And that's the lesson of the Buddha. So these are all things that come to our mind with the Bodhi tree. And even now, when people have any kind of problems, mental problems, physical problems, or something like that, they go to the Bodhi tree. It's some call it. I have written, I have read articles that this is not what Buddhism is. But the thing is, the first thing in Buddhism is to have peace of mind. And what's important, that if a tree, let's looking at a tree, the Buddha did that. And by just observing that, or just sitting by the side of, under the Bodhi tree, if a person can calm his mind, and calm the mind is so important. If it's calming the mind, then that's something that's something that will help him in his life. And all what we do as Buddhists or as people is to lead a happy life. And in leading that happy life, this particular thing of the bringing of the Bodhi tree on Unduwap Day is extremely important. And when we think of that, who was responsible for all these things? It was the role of Sanghamitta. It comes in that particular in that context. She brought firstly the Bodhi tree, and also she did her duty by she came with enough bhikkhunis from Upasampada bhikkhunis from India to come and establish the bhikkhuni sasana in Sri Lanka. And it is mentioned in the text that Queen Anula and his all her persons who were with her, that's about 500 of them, they were all ready. They were what you call dressed properly. They have already taken the 10 precepts, but they have dressed properly to become bhikkhunis. And they are also the mention, the other sources to know about bhikkhuni, bhikkhuni Sanghamitta, is the Bodhivamsa. Now, there is, as I said, the Bodhi was so important that we have the Pali Bodhivamsa, Bodhi Chronicle of the Bodhi. And Bodhivamsa is that, like Mahavansa, Deepavansa, Bodhivamsa, and also there's a Sinhala Bodhivamsa. There's also much information on regarding these happening in Vansatta Prakasini, that's the commentary on the Mahavansa, and also the commentary of the Visuddhimagga, that's the Samanta Pasadika. These are the texts from which we know more about the activities or about them. So even when we think of Therini, of Arahant Sangamita Therini, there is the Deepavansa. It is considered that Deepavansa is more was records kept in the nunnery, and there is certain more details about there's as number of bhikkhunis who came with her. There is some discrepancy in that, but whatever it is, she came with the the the, the number that is required to have the to ordain and also to conduct the Upasampada. And for that, for the Upasampada, according to the Vinaya rules, there is a, the uh, Bhikkhuni is there, the special rules for the Bhikkhunis, which, and also some for the, on the Bhikkhus, like in the Bhikkhus, the Patimokha, there's also, for the Bhikkhunis, there are changes, there are differences. And if any person wants to learn about that, I recommend the book by the Professor Dhirasekara, who has written a book on the Vinaya on this particular aspect. There is a paragraph. There's a whole 2 chapters on the Bhikkhuni order. So anyone could take that, refer to those 2 chapters and learn more about that. But right from the beginning, we note how pious Sangamita Theri, and how he is Sangamita also. He's a friend of the Sangha. That means actually for the establishing of the Sasana by his brother Mahinda, Venerable Mahinda, he was a great support. And there I should mention that when the request was made for Venerable Sangamita to come to Sri Lanka, Dharmasoka was King Dharmasoka was not very happy, and but her determination. This is a call from my brother. This is a call from my brother, and just to establish the Bhikkhuni Sasana outside India, and that's in Sri Lanka. And there is no other record of such a Bhikkhuni order going traveling or going to another country. And so all those things are important, and it is mentioned that that she was responsible to even get the ship, the boat that came, the parts of that to be kept in a particular place, and that's a sort of a museum. It's a museum there. So she also was very intelligent and very keen to help her brother. And also, not only that, the how she acted, and she shows how close she was to the Vinaya, and how she was very keen to do everything according to Vinaya. But she didn't ask. She went to a particular place. She wanted quietness, and when she went, then the King Devanapithis asked, "Why is it that you are here?" I don't like the hustle and bustle of the near the citadel, but I want some quiet. And another place was built for her, and where she was quiet, there was a much environment was very much better for her to live, because she didn't want that type of atmosphere. That is that is not easy, not conducive for a person to lead a very quiet, happy life. So I don't know. I don't have a timepiece here, maybe, but.
Can we have another 10-15 minutes, Venerable Thera?
Yes. So these are important matters, important things for us to give. When you think of the Unduwap Poya, so the bringing of the Bodhi tree as I said, it was a master stroke, and that really kept the for the Sinhala Buddhists, wherever the temple is, the first thing they would like to have is a Bodhi, and then we have special gatha for that. When we say the relics, so sari, we Vandami, all of us recite that when we go to Vandami Chetyang Sabbang, Sabbathanesu, Satipat, Sabbathanesu Tapattan, Saririka Dhatu, Mahabodhing, Buddha Rupan Sakalan Sada. So the first is the Saririka Dhatu, that is the relics of the Buddha. And the other is the Saririka Dhatu. Then we come to the other type, the other one. That's the Paribhokha Dhatu, what the Buddha used in his life when he was living. So the Bodhi tree is also taken as a Paribhokha Dhatu because it was under a Bodhi tree that he gained enlightenment, and the others like the bowl and other things are enshrined. And also we have the Uddeshika Dhatu, that's fine with Paribhokha Uddeshika, that symbols like the Buddha image. So these are worshipped every day, in every Dhamma school, in every home. We say we recite this particular verse by rote, with folded hands. Vandami Chetyang Sabbang, Sabbathanesu, everywhere. Sabbathanesu Patititavat, whatever is established in other ways. And then says Saririka Dhatu Mahabodhing, Buddha Rupan Sakalan Sada. So these particular verse, it's recited by everyone. And also there are special verses, special stanzas of Gatha to worship or salute the Bodhi tree, especially the Anuradhapura. There is this particular verse, many would know, Supatithita Rathanuradhapure, that's situated in Anuradhapura. Anuradhapure, Samadithita Dakina Sakabhavan, Dakina, that's the right branch of the Bodhi. Subha Mega Vanambara Mega Nibhang Jaya Bodhi Mahapalananubaran. So let's say worship. So the thing is, it's unlike in other countries, the Theravada countries, and all this was because of Mahinda, Venerable Mahinda, Arahant Mahinda, and Arahant Sangamita. So it's a brother and sister combination. And it's extremely important also, finally, I would say, that unlike after the third Buddhist Council, missionaries were sent to 9 countries. And all the missions had 5 bhikkhus, 5 persons, 5 bhikkhus to conduct upasampada. The minimum for a ecclesiastical act is 5 is necessary of upasampada. And then to Sri Lanka, it's very special because Venerable Dhammasoka, King Emperor Dhammasoka, his son and daughter, both of them, were sent to Sri Lanka. What a great thing, what a beautiful country this is. Sri Lanka is, and even now we speak of the neighbor policy of neighborliness. So in the same way, even during the time of Emperor Asoka, he considered Sri Lanka as a special country. They are Aditya Mitra, that Devanambitisa and Ashoka were friends. They have not seen each other, but the very close links that have been between India and Sri Lanka, the cultural links, the religious, all those links are there, and that persists even up to date, up to now. And we are fortunate because of these, of our location also. We could sense everything is happening the way, everything don't happen the way that we want. But the point is, we have the resilience of our people. We have been battered in certain during the time of the Portuguese period, certain the policies that were taken by the Portuguese to wipe away Buddhism from Sri Lanka. Up to now, we have been able to maintain that. We have to keep it up. But unfortunately, it didn't happen with regard to the Bhikkhuni Sasana. The Bhikkhuni Sasana, there was a particular time towards the end of the Anuradha period. There was so much of, leading up to the conquest of the north by the Cholas. And during that particular time, the Bhikkhuni Sasana disappeared. And it happened even Sri Lanka, if by any chance Sri Lanka has not sent earlier the big Upasampada bhikkhus to India or to Thailand to have, and other countries in Burma and Thailand and those countries, and those links were not there. And the lineage, it's important right from the beginning, the lineage which is not disrupted, the lineage right from the Buddha's time. What we say, the bhikkhus, we have been able to maintain that lineage from Sariputtas, and Sariputta Upali, and we can show that historically it's shown, and that from time to time, Sri Lankan monks went to those countries, and when we lost the Upasampada, it was the Upasampada that was taken from Sri Lanka and maintained in Thailand was brought back by Venerable Upali and re-established. So the thing is, another aspect that we see, when you think of it as the lineage right from the beginning, so that we come from the Buddha's the order that was created by the Buddha. So that linkage is there. So unfortunately, it's not possible to trace it in regard to the Bhikkhuni Sasana. But that doesn't mean that anybody, any person, like say even before the Bhikkhuni Sasana was established, there were the Mahapajapati, Gautami, Yasodhara, and all of them. They lived according to a bhikkhuni. They lived according to that, and then one could do that. One could. Each person can do that, but that doesn't mean that you are nearer nibbana by that. Nibbana is something very different. It's something even a lay person, bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, upasaka, upasika. So all four, any person, even upasika or upasaka in Sri Lanka, as I said, upasika is Anuradha Devi, who was first to understand the Dhamma, who became a Sotapanna. So the thing is, that an establishment is different thing. It's some sort of a, the institutional aspect of it. There's one is the institutional aspect, bhikkhuni, order, bhikkhuni is institutional aspect. But that doesn't mean that you can have the 10 precepts, and if you wish to, you can. And even in Sri Lanka, the bhikkhunis are there. So they can use anything, they can use venerable or any title that they want to. But the point is that it's not possible, according to what I have read, that the order that what was started by the Buddha as a bhikkhuni order, we can't trace that lineage right up to today. So that's the only difficulty there. Nice. So I think I have talked enough. Professor Watola, is that enough, or should I?
We'll get some comments, and then maybe Venerable Thero can comment, give any further comments. Right. We have Senaka. Senaka is there. I think he was also speaking of the Dharma Vijaya Foundation. Senaka, you are muted. All right. Okay, Senaka.
Yes, sir.
Senaka, you. Okay, Senaka. Yeah.
As for the last few decades, he advised me to Dhamma Vijaya Foundation. At the same time, he advising us as a monk today. At the same time, I want to mention he is trying to establish Dharmija Samajas in North America with the advice of Irigunamalayananda Mahanayaka Thera. We had selected 3 temples in North America, including Canada. At the same time, I want to mention that he get this information through when he visited with late Madi Mahanayaka Thera in America. He established Dharmija Foundation in 1971. So he is the author of this type of activities for the last so many years. I was listening this sermon. He explained the significance of Unduwap Poya. Reverend sir, I wish you good health.
Thank you, Senator. There are some questions, Venerable Thero, one by Maja Edwards. What was the book reference for the 2 chapters on Bhikkhuni rules, please? Is this book available in English?
It's in English, yes. That's written by Professor Jyoti Dhirasekara, who later became Venerable Dhamma Vihari. And his thesis, I think, and it's available in English. The name, I think, it's Dhamma Vihari Theras. I'll just mention, I just noted down. It's called the Buddhist monastic discipline. Buddhist monastic discipline by Professor late Jyoti Dhirasekara, who later entered the Bhikkhu Sangha. His name is Dhamma Vihari. There are 2 chapters. First is Women and the Religious Order of the Buddha. Women and the Religious Order of the Buddha. And the second is the Disciplinary Code of the Bhikkhunis. So Disciplinary Code of the Bhikkhunis. So it's very interesting when you read that, how much, it's the code of discipline for Bhikkhunis are there. The differences are there. The Parajika, in say the Parajika, there are 5 for monks. There are more, and the reasons are given. And so all those things very interesting. It's a very, what you call, authoritative, I would say, authoritative book written by Venerable Dhamma Vihari as a layman Minmas professor. Yeah.
Thank you. Venerable Thero, there's another question. It's sent by an anonymous attendee. Venerable Sir, in our school days, we have learned that after attainment to enlightenment, Buddha was looking at the Bo tree straight for 1 week, continuously to pay tribute to the Bodhi. But later on in life, I heard that the Buddha did this not to pay tribute to the Bodhi, but to test his mindfulness. I would like to have your comments, Venerable Sir, on this, please.
The thing is, see, whatever it is, it's to I consider it that it is showing his gratitude. So that's the first week after enlightenment. He gets up from there, and then he shows his gratitude to the tree, and that's why we worship that as a Pariboka Dhatu. It's that, and during that particular time, so I think that there are the weeks that he spent under the Bodhi tree and close to the Bodhi tree. 1 week, we know that there is a what you call a gatha also, we recite sometimes. Patamang Bodhi Pallankang, Dutiyancha Animisang, Tatiyanchang Kamanang Settang, Chatutang Ratanagarang. So that particular verse. So the first week, and during that, all that, he must have, because one Ratanagarang. So that means he got enlightened, but the thing is and then he was enjoying that, and maybe that he was reflecting on the Dhamma. He has to reflect, because let's take our own life. We first see that, and then we have to reflect on that. So it's quite likely it's not testing mindfulness, but he was reflecting on what he has attained in enlightenment. And because so it's not for himself, because Pacheka Buddhas, as you know, it's not possible. They say that it's not possible because it's my enlightenment. I'm not in a position to explain my enlightenment to another. So in the same way, the Pacheka Buddhas, they are enlightened, but they have not that possibility or the ability to express, to explain. But in the case of Samma Sambuddha, he also gets the same enlightenment. There is not difference, but he has the capacity. He has developed the capacity to explain that to the layman, and he started that with the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. And now when we have in Sri Lanka, we have the whole Tipitaka is 57 volumes, 52 or 57 volumes, Vidya Vidhamma, all those things. So the point is, it's all coming coming from his mind. Think of it, If when a person asks you a question, also we reflect. So here, once a person asked, "How is it, Venerable Sir, that you can just explain without anything?" So then he replied, it's not I have not kept it in my mind, but it comes to me with my enlightenment. It's come to me. And just as I think it's a chariot or someone, he knows what to do. A person who knows surgery, he knows what to do. I am not a cardiologist. I can't do that type of surgery, but a surgeon could. But the thing is, he knows what it is, and he knows what type of instrument that he requires at a particular time. The nurse also knows. So like that, when you know something, when you understand, it's the Buddha, it's not in knowing, but also understanding. The two words that he used, the Buddha has used in his sermons. So all those sermons, when a question comes up, then he explains that. It's not that he kept it as an answer somewhere from. In our case, we do that. When we come across, we consult the bhikkhus, they take a bhikkhu and learn the book and learn and study and all those things. But if a person is proficient, is enlightened, it is not that such an enlightened person can do. So whether he was mindful of developing mindful eating, there is no need to test his mindfulness. He's already attained enlightenment. And then during that particular 7 weeks that he was around, before going to Isipatana to preach, he must have consolidated all his knowledge, reflecting on that. So without reflecting, and and establishing the knowledge that he has got, the 4 noble truths. So that's what my reply. That's how I take the answer to answer your question. Turn on this.
Thank you very much, Venerable Thero. I don't see any other question, Q&A, any questions there. So I will now invite Senaka Samarasinghe. He is one of our senior committee members to give the vote of thanks and the thanksgiving.
Excuse me, sir. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Professor Lakshman Vatavada. Lakshman is taking a keen interest of doing this for the last so many years. At the same time, I want to thank Reverend Sir for you for giving this conducting this sermon for us at this moment. As I tell you earlier, I wish you all the best as well as all good health. Good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Srinagar. Venerable Thero, we can
Yes.
give the thanksgiving to the Devas and the departed before we close up.
So thank you very much for everyone. Ittavata chamhehi sampatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya akasattha bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakhantu sasanang chiran rakhantu desanang chiran rakhantu tvang sada imina punya kammena sabba sampatti siddhya. Right. Shall we, for the departed also?
Yes, yes.
Idang me doesn't come to my mind. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatio. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatio. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatio. So, blessings to all. Hope everyone
Thank you.
benefits from the talk.
Thank you very much, Venerable Thero, for giving the Dhamma talk, especially maybe with very short notice. So, and also I must thank Venerable Thero for always being present at many of our Dhamma talks, where Venerable Thero has given very useful comments. And also Senaka has been always maybe giving very good comments of Venerable Thero, especially the work done at the Dharma Vijay Foundation, where he's also been a member at that time under Venerable Thero's leadership. So we wish Venerable Thero all very good health and all the Dhamma work that Venerable Thero is doing, and will be able to support us also in the future. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you very much. I think we have to thank Kasun also, Kasun Chetilaka, for helping us.
Thank you very much, Kasun. I think I was able to speak to Kasun and ask him to come and help, and he's been able to get the connection done. So we are very thankful to Kasun also for coming and supporting us, and we wish him all the very best. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We will then end up
Yes.
the close up the Dhamma talk. And also thank all our Dhamma friends who attended. I know that due to the changes, there was some difficulty, but I must thank all of them for attending the Dhamma talk this evening. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So, let's
We close up then.
Proceed.